Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with a first impressions donation reward. We don't do these too often, but yeah, we have a donation for first impressions to Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So, what do I know about this series? I know it's a comedy, and I know it's about a police department. I know that there are certain actors and whatnot in it that I know, and that's about it. I don't know like how the series is formatted. I don't know like if the story is like any level of ongoing or if it's completely episodic. I don't know. But one of the big things here that I need to discuss, and I think probably the reason that this was chosen by Sweet Venom as a first impressions more than anything, is because I've been pretty vocal on this channel about my disdain for the police force, specifically the American police force, but to a lesser degree just in general, because of all the corruption and just honestly evil that they perpetuate, the systemic issues that are built into their institutions, and especially the specific circumstances and situations that have occurred throughout the years. I make it no secret, I do not hide it at all, that I hate cops. I believe in the ACAB, all cops are bastards line. And obviously, fiction is a little easier to digest with that because they're fictional characters. It's not real, and a lot of times focuses on its own thing. And in the case of, like, for example, something like Jim Gordon from the Batman universe, I like Gordon because he is actively fighting against the corruption in the GCPD within pretty much any iteration of Batman. Gordon is actively against the corruption in his own department and works to try and fix it, while also choosing to perform his duties against the corruption, doing things that actively go against either orders or basically just what he's told to do or what others in the department do. And that can range depending on the very iteration. Like in some iterations, just working with Batman alone is enough. And at least in fiction, those are the kind of cops that I will be okay with. The ones who are actively fighting this corruption rather than perpetuating it. Or just, cops who are in general like portrayed as like these magical saviors. I'm not a really big fan of that either, who are just like they're glorified to hell and back in their piece of media. I hate that. If they are shown as being either bad, corrupt, or a character like Jim Gordon, where again they're fighting against that corruption and actively working to stop it, it's like that's if it's shown in those kind of ways, I can live with it. Now, I don't know what it's going to be like here. I don't know if this series is going to glorify this department. I don't know if it's going to showcase them as being corrupt and bad. I don't know. I don't know. But I wanted to bring this all up because it is a big deal for me. So I'm thinking that's probably why you had me do this as a first impression, Venom. Because again, I make it no secret my feelings on this. So I'll give it a chance. Like I'm willing to give anything a chance. Again, I know this is a comedy, so that aspect definitely affects things as well. But we'll see. I've seen a couple clips here and there, just really randomly, and I can't remember any of them. Um, oh, except there is one I remember. I don't know the context behind it at all, but like the different characters were like betting on why another character was late. Like one character came in late to the department, and the other characters were betting on why they were late. And I think the captain or something, I don't know the positions or anything, but the big dude who I think is in charge, he was like, he gave his theory on it, and everyone was like talking down to him, and then he ended up being right, and he was like kind of gloating about it. If I remember the clip, I saw it once. I believe that's what happened. Anyway, we are going to get into this, and fun fact, we are going to be doing this off Netflix, and I think I've actually figured out how to record off Netflix. We're going to be doing this with a VPN as well, because Brooklyn Nine-Nine is not available on Netflix here in America, but it is in Canada. So I got this free VPN, and it's like, oh, unless you pay for like a premium, you get an hour a day, but I think this show is like a half hour slot, so we should be fine. And yeah, I was looking through the other sites I normally use. I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it available to download, and the ones that I really like to use is not working properly right now. It's having troubles. So yeah, we'll do it this way. So thank you all so much for tuning in. Let's get this going. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction. Excuse me. And after it fades to black and then fades back in. No, wait. Follow the link to the reaction. And then after it finishes, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much once again for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, I would describe this, first episode at least, as the very kind of definition of okay. I would not by any means say this is that good, but I would not call it bad by any means either. I wouldn't even call it meh. I would just call it okay. There's definitely some value to it, especially in regards to certain parts of the comedy and the acting. But overall, nothing about it really stands out to me. Like, the representation with having Captain Holt be a gay man and everything is great. It's fine. But I've seen representation done a little just better, I guess. It's not even that it's bad here, and it's like pretty normal, I guess you could say. But there's also some things about it I didn't like the one girl, like, just making a bet about it, and it's like basically like, bet you he's gay, and everything from the moment she sees him. It's like, okay, first, while it was made clear he doesn't hide the fact, it's like she basically based it off of just like his appearance and maybe a few mannerisms, which is not the best thing at all. And on top of that, there are some, like, let's be honest, some stereotypes in the way that it was like. like when he said like I'm gay, it's like I'm surprised you didn't know. I don't try to hide. And then it went back to all the things that it's like he should have picked up on. It's like stereotypical things. Let's be honest, like the manscaping line and everything. It's like it's yes, like without question, there are gay men like that. There are just gay people like that in general. Of course there are. But it's also an extreme notable stereotype that is often used to make a joke out of gay people. It's it's a little uncomfortable to have that be sort of visible evidence that he's gay, or I guess auditory evidence. You know what I mean, though. It just feels off. Like having the newspaper clipping is fine. That's all good. Um, but that just felt like it was a little too much of a negative stereotype for me. Um, some of the humor in this also just did not work for me at all. It's like there were a couple things that were notably funny, but some of the humor was honestly very cringy. And a lot of it stems from the main character from Peralta, I want to say his name is. Um, a lot of the shit he was doing was extremely cringy. A lot of the jokes he was making, a lot of there's just so much dumb shit, and it's not even in a good way, because you can do dumb humor in a good, entertaining way, but it wasn't. Probably some of the best humor came from deadpan reactions from the likes of Captain Holt and Rosa, Stephanie Beatrice's character. Um, her character is definitely my favorite based on this first episode. Um, just because one, it just kept reminding me of Encanto. Just because she voices Mirabelle in that movie, and it's just every time I hear her speak, that's just instantly what I think of. But also, she actually was, funny and interesting. And she wasn't completely deadpan all the time, which actually surprised me because I thought that was her character. I thought that was actually like what her character was supposed to be in this series. Because again, she's a character I've obviously heard about and everything before. My sister has talked about her, and I've seen like probably a couple clips of her. I just don't remember what happens in them. But I thought that was her character, that she was deadpan. But while she is at certain points, there's also points where she actually shows notable like emotion and everything. Like she's not Maud from MLP, Pinky's sister. She's not Maud at all. Maud is complete deadpan the entire time, pretty much. And of course, once you get used to those kind of characters, you can tell when they're emoting. When you can tell, like you can sense the emotion in their voice and everything when they are at that point. When you do get to that point of knowing them enough. But with Rosa, it's very clear that's not anything that's needed here, because she does show emotion. Like we saw in this episode, we saw her laugh, we saw her show surprise and everything. Like she's not completely deadpan. Um, Captain Holt being just a massive rule follower the entire time. It's like, and it being explained by the end, like, oh, because he wanted to run his own department, and he wanted to like do this all partially because of him being held back because of being gay and everything. It's like it makes sense why he's so rule heavy. And it's just not that entertaining. That's the thing. But at the other hand, the devil may care attitude of Peralta and the others in the department also not really that entertaining. It's just kind of like ridiculous. Like, it's fine if you want to have characters kind of like go against the idea of this all. Like, obviously in real life that kind of thing wouldn't fly, but it's like they go a little too far into it, you know? Like they go a little too silly and too wacky and do things that are just, you know, too ridiculous that I just can't buy. Also, there's a lot of these people on here who I can't buy would not have been fired. Like, the only thing that Peralta has going for him is that he has solved a number of cases. Otherwise, it's like he would have definitely been fired. And the idea that the former captain was just letting all of this happen and just had no real like input on anything because he just like let everything go on. It's like he would have been fired too. Believe it or not, the captain is not the head of a police department. He could be fired too for that, and would have been. There's also the one guy who was trying to ask Rose on a date and all. It's like, what does he do? Is he just kind of useless? He just seemed useless, and honestly, the entire thing about him being like anxiously trying to ask her out and going to ridiculous lengths and everything, it's just like, no, it's not charming or funny. It's just awkward. Not in a good way at all. Um, the other girl character who, the one who guessed Captain Holt was gay and everything, literally no thoughts on her because it's like there's just nothing memorable about her in this episode. Just absolutely nothing. There are also a couple of older detectives it showed, but like Peralta said, like they're useless, so we don't even need to worry about them. They make good coffee. It's like, okay, they're not even seemingly characters, or at least not yet. Okay. Felt very important to bring up, I guess. Sure. It just seems like they're trying to go for the idea of like, oh, this department is a bunch of lovable idiot misfits. And they're all dumbasses except for Captain Holt. Like, Terry Crews, it's like, again, this is just the first episode, but I feel like that isn't using Terry Crews to the best of his acting abilities. I didn't really get any appeal from him at all in this. He just kind of was like there. Like, I actually had to remind myself just now to talk about him because I almost kind of forgot he was in this. That's how little of an impression he left. It's just like, again, this could be much worse, and it's clearly not trying to glorify police or anything, and especially not the characters we're seeing here. Um, but at the same time, it's notably okay. It is just it. There's no other way to put it, really. At least not that I can think of off the top of my head. It is just so aggressively okay. And honestly, that's kind of boring to me. It doesn't seem to be doing anything like really impressive or taking any notable risks or, just being that interesting. And that might sound harsh and that might sound like a little mean, but I I don't really get it. The thing is, I know this series is pretty popular, but I don't see it from this first episode. And mind you, this is obviously just the first episode. It's not going to show everything. It's not going to showcase what everyone loves about this in just the first episode. But I don't really get, like, any, based on this first episode, I don't really get like anything about why someone would love this series. I don't get it. But maybe that's just me. As a first impressions, obviously we had to decide if I was going to continue reacting to it, watch it on my own time, drop it, yada yada. Well, because of how hard this was to watch as well, because of the stupid VPN, and then also having to to actively click to continue using the VPN, which is fucking stupid, by the way. I hated that I had to do that in the middle of the reaction, and I apologize for it. But even aside from that, I don't think I have any interest in continuing this. Like, again, I don't see the appeal. I don't really get it. This honestly does nothing for me. But yeah, it's like, maybe that's, again, just because it's the first episode, but yeah, I don't have desire to continue, so. For now, at least, it's not going to be put on the list for the future or anything. If someone wanted to donate to make sure I reacted to more, they could, but I'm not going to, like, ask for that necessarily. Because, again, it's just, for me, this was just very okay. Like, kind of mid, honestly. Not meh, but mid. I don't know if it's really for me. For multiple reasons. But I'm not sure it is. So, at least for now, we are going to not be continuing it. And maybe something in the future for like a donation reward first impressions will impress me more than this. I mean, we've already had at least one first impressions that we did that was also a donation reward that we're going to be coming back to in the future, and that was Lucifer. I don't remember if there was another or not, but I know that one for sure. So it's possible. But yeah, if anyone ever wants to donate for a first impression, you can do that too. Like, if you're not sure if I'm going to like the series and want to just start with a first impression, that's honestly a genuinely fair way to do it. It's completely up to you. You could just do it as a regular reaction as well. Whatever works best for you. Donations are your choice, basically. As long as I haven't seen it, it's fair game. So yeah. That being said, tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this first episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine? Because, while I have my opinions, obviously, they are just my opinions. It's all subjective. Excuse me. And I want to hear yours. So tell me your thoughts down below, and for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.